with the search of Atlanta rapper Lil Jon's son. It seems like there's been a devastating development here, Angelique. What more do we know?
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom. Yes, heartbreaking development here in the city of Milton. We are at Mayfield Park. This is the spot where Milton police had been looking for about 3.5 days. They do confirm for us that they did pull a body from this pond that you see here this afternoon. This is where they had been searching for 27-year-old Nathan Smith, who is well known in Atlanta circles as DJ Young Slade and is, as you said, the son of rapper Lil Jon. Well, Smith was last seen leaving his home around 6 a.m. on Tuesday. He was described as being disoriented and possibly being in need of assistance. And so for 3.5 days, police, canine, divers, and even a bloodhound had been searching for Smith. We do have some new images from Skyfox 5. It was about 11:53 this morning that officials found what they believe is the body of Nathan Smith. My colleague who was on the scene at the time tells me a body bag was brought to the scene. The medical examiner showed up, and we, as members of the media, were asked to move back. Then at approximately about 1:45, a gurney was put in a transport van, and that van pulled off. So many people in this family-friendly community were hoping for the best. I have talked to some of them since I have been here, but this Friday afternoon, there is utter sadness. Now, the Milton Police Department says it will not comment further on this case until the medical examiner positively identifies this body. And of course, the Smith family has asked for privacy, and we will, in fact, honor that. Tom.
Angelique, as you say, just a sad development in this case. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to Lil Jon's family as they deal with the situation. Though I am curious, in the lead up to this disappearance and, of course, the discovery today, we had heard a lot about the fact that, as you mentioned, he may have been disoriented upon his disappearance and in need of medical assistance. Did we know anything about his mental acuity? In other words, what might have set him off wandering in the first place?
You know, Tom, we do not have the answer to that. And I was just speaking to someone sort of inquiring about that very thing, his mental state of mind on Tuesday or of late. And they said they really did not know, but that is certainly a question that many people are asking right now. And we hope to get to the bottom of at some point. As we have said, Milton police are not answering any questions at this time because I'm curious as to who it was that saw him leaving his apartment at 6 a.m. looking disoriented. Someone obviously mentioned that aspect to Milton police because they shared it with us. So still a whole lot of questions here.
Yeah, a lot of unanswered questions indeed. Angelique Proctor on top of this tragic new development this afternoon for us. Angelique, thanks.
You got to pay that, get it back in blood. Get it back in blood.
Everything that is making headlines this afternoon. First, we want to check in with our Angelique Proctor, who is on top of new developments, tragic ones at everything that is making headlines this afternoon. First, we want to everything that is making headlines this afternoon. First, we want to check in with our Angelique Proctor, who is on top of.
Well, hey, anything for fame. And this seems like another illuminati. Seems like another illuminati type of situation. A lot of these mysterious deaths that are tied to these guys who had all this fame and fortune. I mean, this goes right along the line of Illuminati. I'm saying, right? His son walks out of apartment disoriented and then ends up in a river. Dead? Another illuminati sacrifice? What do we do? I mean, what can we say? It just happens so often. It happens so often.
Lil Jon is searching for his son. According to a February 3rd missing persons alert from the Milton Police Department in Georgia, the rapper's son, known as DJ Young Slade, whose real name is Nathan Murray Smith, has been reported missing. Prior to his disappearance, authorities say the 27-year-old ran out of his home on foot and does not possess a phone. The alert also notes he may be disoriented and in need of assistance. In a February 4th statement, the Milton Police Department tells E! News that there are no further updates and confirms that Nathan Smith is still missing. Lil Jon and his family also share in a February 4th statement to E! News that the family is asking for privacy at this time. We are also asking for continued prayers for Nathan to come home safe. Thank you. Like his dad, DJ Young Slade showed interest in music at an early age. Back in 2017, Lil Jon, whose real name is Jonathan H. Smith, told Paste magazine, "I remember changing his diapers." And now he's producing his own music in the Clive Davis program at NYU.
So he was with Clive Davis program. Oh yeah, this Illuminati sacrifice. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. Groomed and ready to go. Groomed and ready to go. I know he was in a. This is what they do. Right? They give these guys all this money. And they give these guys all these things and they want payment back.
A body gets pulled from a pond, and police say they believe it belongs to Lil Jon's missing son. But here's the part that makes people freeze. The timeline is still blurry, and the details that should be clear aren't, because this wasn't some long-distance disappearance. This started as a morning situation, the kind where you think someone's going to circle back, answer a call, show up by lunch. And then days pass, and the search turns into something else entirely. Police in Milton, Georgia say Nathan Smith, known publicly as DJ Young Slade, went missing after leaving his home early in the morning. Family and friends were worried from the beginning, and authorities described him as possibly disoriented. And now, after days of searching, divers recovered a body from the water that investigators believe is him, pending confirmation by the medical examiner. So the question is simple, but heavy. What happened between that early morning exit and that pond? Because once you hear where search crews focused and how quickly the situation escalated, the story stops feeling random and starts feeling like a chain of moments no one can take back. But the next detail is the one that changes how you see the entire case. The last reported sighting is early, around 6 a.m., in a quiet Milton neighborhood near Baldwin Drive and Mayfield Road. That's the official starting point authorities keep going back to. Police said he left on foot and didn't have his phone. That matters more than most people realize, because it instantly tells investigators this might not be a normal missing adult situation, where the person is still connected, still reachable, still making choices with a safety net. And when police use language like "may be disoriented," it usually means they're not just searching for a location. They're racing against exposure, accidents, panic, the kind of disorientation that turns minutes into danger. That's why the first few hours are everything in cases like this. If someone leaves without a phone and doesn't come back, every small decision multiplies. And when the public saw the missing person alert, it didn't read like a celebrity headline. It read like urgency, because the questions immediately started. Was this voluntary? Was he avoiding contact? Did something happen in the home? Did he go somewhere familiar? Or somewhere no one would even think to look? And that's when the search shifted toward a place that changes outcomes fast: water. Here's what many people miss. DJ Young Slade wasn't just Lil Jon's son in the background. He was building his own lane, and a lot of outlets described him as someone trying to follow the music path with real intention, not just a name. And that detail matters, because when someone has a public identity, every moment becomes louder. People don't just search, they speculate. They don't just hope, they narrate. Some reports highlighted his music background and public appearances, and that adds another layer: pressure, expectations, people watching your life like it's content. Now combine that with the most unsettling part of the police language: maybe disoriented. That single phrase is the doorway to 100 possibilities. It could mean confusion, it could mean distress, it could mean an episode, it could mean nothing more than someone not thinking clearly in the moment. And that's why this story moves so fast online, because everyone tried to fill in the blanks before authorities could. But what authorities did next is what made this feel less like a rumor and more like a crisis. They didn't just keep searching streets, they brought in resources. And attention moved toward a pond near the area. And when divers show up, it means investigators are taking the worst possibilities seriously, even if they're not saying it out loud yet. By the time the story hit wider news, the search wasn't casual. Multiple agencies were involved, and the focus kept circling back to the same area near where he was last reported. This is the part viewers should understand. When authorities focus hard on a tight radius, it usually means one of two things. Either they believe the person never traveled far, or they found something that makes them think the answer is close. Water searches are not random. They happen when there's a reason, a tip, a pattern, a scent trail that stops, or a possibility investigators can't ignore. And the public watched this play out in real time. Helicopter footage, police presence, divers. The kind of scene that feels unreal until you realize this is somebody's family living through the worst suspense imaginable. Then came the shift that changed the entire tone. Friday, authorities announced a body was recovered from a pond where crews had been searching. They said the individual is believed to be Nathan Smith, but official confirmation would come from the medical examiner. And the wording after that is where the story gets even stranger, because police said they did not suspect foul play, while also saying the investigation remains open. So if it's not foul play, why keep it open? That one line is why people think there's more to this than we're being told, and what comes next only adds to it. This is where the story turns, because up until the body recovery, everyone's mind is in missing person mode, hoping for a call, a sighting, a safe return. But once a body is recovered, the entire case becomes about two words: cause and timeline. Police said there was no indication of foul play so far, but they also made it clear the medical examiner will determine the official identification and what actually happened. Until that comes, nothing is truly closed. That's why they kept emphasizing the investigation is still active. It's not just paperwork. It's the difference between we believe and we know. And in stories like this, that gap between belief and confirmation is where the internet gets dangerous, because people rush to explain it. They rush to assign blame. They rush to turn grief into a storyline. But even within the official reporting, you can feel the tension. Authorities are being careful. Family asks for privacy, and the public is stuck staring at the same question. How does someone go missing early in the morning near home and end up in a pond days later? If the medical examiner confirms it's him, the next question becomes unavoidable. Was it an accident, a medical event, or something else entirely? And right now, that's the part nobody can answer, which is why what the public is saying next matters, and also why it can't be trusted. Once news breaks like this, the internet does what it always does. It fills in the blanks with theories. Some online commenters have speculated about mental health, others about substances, others about the circumstances of him leaving the house. And to be clear, that's not confirmed reporting. That's the noise that follows any high-profile disappearance, especially when the official details are limited. What is reported is that police described him as disoriented and that he left without his phone. Those are the only two clues the public keeps anchoring on because they point to vulnerability, not a planned exit. And in cases like this, vulnerability is what turns a normal environment into a dangerous one. A quiet neighborhood becomes a maze. A short walk becomes an hour. A pond becomes a risk. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if there's no foul play, it doesn't mean there aren't answers. It doesn't mean it wasn't preventable. It doesn't mean the timeline isn't important. That's why police are keeping it open, and that's why the medical examiner's role matters more than any headline. Because the medical examiner doesn't just confirm identity. They can help map out what likely happened in the missing hours. And if you're wondering why the family is asking for privacy so strongly, it's because the next phase of this story is the hardest, the part where hope turns into grief, and every rumor feels like another violation. There's a line that hit hard in the reporting. The family asked for privacy and also asked for continued prayers. That's not a celebrity PR move. That's what people say when they're dealing with shock, and they don't want the world turning their pain into entertainment. At the same time, you can feel how the public is reacting. When a case is this close to home and the details are this limited, people project. They imagine what they would do if their loved one walked out at 6 a.m. without a phone. They imagine the panic, the calls, the searching, the helpless waiting. And then there's the cruel part. Once a body is recovered, the family doesn't even get immediate closure. They have to wait for confirmation. Then they have to wait for cause. Then they have to live with whatever answer comes back. Meanwhile, the world moves fast. Headlines refresh. People comment like they're solving a puzzle. But this isn't a puzzle. It's a real person. And that's why this story is bigger than one tragic outcome. It shows how quickly a situation can go from missing to irreversible, especially when the first clue is that someone might not have been thinking clearly. So what happens next? The next official updates are likely to come from the medical examiner and from investigators confirming what they can. Until then, everything else is speculation. But there's still one question that hangs over the entire case, and it's the one no headline can answer yet. The question is this: what triggered that 6 a.m. exit? Because the public keeps asking the same thing, and it's not disrespectful. It's human. Was there a conversation? A sudden moment of distress? Did he wake up confused? Did something happen that made him bolt? Police haven't laid that out publicly. They've only said he left. He didn't have his phone. And he may have been disoriented. And when investigators don't release more, it can mean several things. Protecting the family's privacy, protecting the integrity of the investigation, or simply that they don't have confirmed answers yet. That lack of detail is exactly what fuels rumor culture. People start turning maybe into definitely. They start treating message board talk like evidence. They start picking a theory and building a whole story around it. But this is where we have to slow down and respect reality. The only people who can anchor the truth here are investigators and the medical examiner. So if you're watching this and you're tempted to jump to conclusions, ask yourself a different question. What's the most responsible way to talk about this while a family is grieving and facts are still coming in? Because the next update, identity confirmation and cause, will decide how this story is understood forever. And when that happens, it may also reveal why police insisted this investigation stays open, even while saying they don't suspect foul play right now. Right now, the story sits in a painful in-between. Police say the body recovered is believed to be Nathan Smith, but the medical examiner still has to confirm. And even after that confirmation, there's another layer. What exactly happened in those missing hours? And how did the search lead to that pond? If you've ever followed cases like this, you already know the pattern. Sometimes the official answer is simple, and sometimes the official answer opens a new set of questions nobody was ready for. So, I want to ask you something, respectfully. Do you think the public should stop speculating entirely until the medical examiner confirms everything? Or do you think speculation is unavoidable when details are limited and the person is connected to a public figure? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful, because this is a family living through real grief, not a storyline. As updates come in, the biggest thing to watch is what authorities say next. Confirmation, cause, and whether any new investigative detail explains that early morning disappearance. And that final question still hangs. Was this a tragic accident? Or was there something happening behind the scenes that the public hasn't been told yet? If you want the next chapter when it drops, subscribe. A body gets pulled from a pond, and police say they believe it belongs to Lil Jon. Right now, the story sits in a painful in-between. Police say the body is unavoidable when details are limited and the person is connected to a public figure. Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful, because this is a family living through real grief, not a storyline. As updates come in, the biggest thing to watch is what authorities say next. A clip just resurfaced, and it's the kind that makes you stop mid-scroll because it doesn't feel like a random interview anymore. It feels like a message that wasn't supposed to hit us after everything that happened. It's Lil Jon's son, Nathan Smith, DJ Young Slade, calmly talking about his dad. No chaos, no drama, just a son giving Lil Jon flowers. And you can hear the pride in his voice. And the reason this clip is going viral isn't because it's heartwarming. It's because it's heartbreaking.
Now, this is such a, man, don't nobody wake up at those 6 a.m. and walk into a pond. Right? He was forced. Somebody came to that house and escorted that boy somewhere into the river and threw him in that motherfucker. They probably blunt force trauma. Damn, because he was, I mean, he ain't got to worry about no money. He ain't got to worry. His dad is famous. And he just wake up one morning, 6 a.m., the missing person with this, and he ends up in a pond, in a river or a lake. That sound like somebody wanted him gone. People just don't do that. That just don't happen. People just wake up and walk into a pond. Nobody does that. That is, look kind of suspicious. Very suspicious. And I was wondering, I would like to know, there's somebody not telling something. So this is, to me, a definitely foul play. I just believe it's foul play. Come on, the guy's a DJ. He makes good music. He's enjoying himself. His dad has lots of money. So women is not a problem. He just walks out the house 6 in the morning and ends up at the bottom of a lake. People don't just do that. Even if we say suicide, come on. He's not going to do it in a lake. Maybe overdose or something. But this looks very suspicious. Like, comment, tell me what y'all think. I think it's Illuminati hit. I think Lil Jon had to cash in. Lil Jon had to cash in for all that money and fame. And the people who he cashed in with, who probably made the deal a long time ago, cashed in on it. See, these deals that they make with these people, when they sell their souls, they might not take action till 5, 6, 8, 10 years, even 12 years down the line. These people are patient. These people are patient. They'll wait and wait for the quiet moment. This is part of their ritual, another ritual. This is what's going on. These things happen up here like this. Kanye West's mom. These things happen.